You're listening to the Moose and the Loose, your 10 minutes action-packed financial podcast with your host, Mike Yahoo. Hey, what's up, Market Moose? This is Mike from the Moose on the Loose. I hope you're doing well. Yesterday, we discussed my 8-step process to buy stocks and get them with conviction, because it's all about the level of confidence that you have in your portfolio, especially when the market goes sideways, because when it goes up, well, we all think we're geniuses, we all think we got this, and we all think that Warren Buffett could not do any better, right? But when it goes down, we start to doubt, and then we start thinking that, oh, those stocks are down like 20-50%, and then it's going to continue until it all worth zero. So how you could build your confidence to a whole new level once you have done this 8-step process? Well, the following thing, and this is what I do with my portfolio regularly, is I give a role to each of my holding. You know, like a hockey team, you cannot, you wish that you had all McDavids on all lines, but it's not going to happen, first. And second, if you had, well, they would be all upset, because then you would have to manage their ego and manage the fact that they cannot have all the time in the world, right? So if you have like 12 McDavids on your team, you have to give them like equal amount of time, and they would all ask for like to play over 20 minutes a game, which would be impossible. So same thing with your portfolio. You cannot have just superstars that are crazy. We all wish we could that, but it's probably not going to happen. So what you want is to classify those companies according to a very simple way of seeing it. And the way I do it is all about my perception, not your perception. So like sometimes my members at DSR, they're just like, yeah, Mike, can you tell me if Enbridge is a core holding, an educated guess, or if it's a speculative play or a falling knife? And I'm like, it really depends on each person. So that's my way of categorizing all the stocks: core holdings, educated guesses, falling knife, or speculative plays. Because falling knives and speculative plays are pretty much the same thing in the sense that they're all high risk, high reward type of play. The main difference is the falling knife have fallen already, so it's a company that you're trying to pick at when the stock price drops massively, like a 20, 30, 40% down, and then you're trying to catch the falling knife, and hopefully you're not going to catch the blade, because if you do, you're going to bleed out. But if you catch the falling knife like a pro, maybe it was just an overreaction. And it's kind of like ironic, because this morning I'm watching the market, and as you know, probably I have shares of Starbucks, and then there's a big news this morning about the Starbucks CEO stepping down and being replaced by Chipotle Brian Niccol as a new CEO. Stock price is surging pre-market. I don't know what's going to happen throughout the day, but it's just kind of like ironic, where the stock price dropped by about 20% back in April of 24 after very bad earnings. And then now it's up almost 15% this morning before the market opened. So anyways, you see how kind of like a crazy move that could go on one way or another. So when you're calling a falling knife, this is what you hope for. So Enbridge, for example, could be a speculative play in a sense where some people are concerned about its debt level, about the fact that maybe it's not going to be able to grow that fast going forward. So the stock could kind of like crash on one side, but on the other, it's provide like a unique service with a unique type of asset. We need natural gas. We need oil production. They've been massively investing in their infrastructure. So maybe it's going to be on the run up for a long time. So someone could see it as a speculative play. Somebody else could see it as an educated guess, because it would mitigate the fact that, yes, it has like a large amount of debt, but on the other side, it's a very stable business model, kind of like a toll booth. Like everybody has to pay to use or not to use the pipeline. So it's a take or pay type of contract. So all Enbridge clients, they must pay to have that right to use the pipeline. So even if the oil price goes down and they don't use it in full, they still have to pay a minimum passage fee, like a toll booth, to the pipeline company. So it could be seen as an educated guess, not showing perfect metrics. It's a little bit tough sometimes, but overall could be pretty nice. And I call it an educated guess, mostly when you know a little bit more about the industry. For someone who has worked in the oil and gas business or like have been studied pipelines for a long time, probably is in a better position to make an educated guess. Another example I could give here is I see my purchase of Canadian Western Bank after the announcement that National Bank would buy it as an educated guess. I am pretty sure that the deal will close and then the shares will jump another like 10%, and I'm going to make some easy money on that trade. That's what I'm thinking. But on the other side, I'm well aware there is a possibility that the deal doesn't go through and then I could lose some money. So that would be an educated guess, you know? And finally, some people could see Enbridge as a core holding. It has been around for several years. As I said, it has a unique asset. It has a very long history of dividend growth. So not only paying dividend, but for more like, I think like close to 30 years now, if I remember, like 28, 29 years, something like that. Anyways, a very long time, almost 3 decades of dividend growth history. You could put that into a core holding type of mine. So as you can see, you can classify it in the 3 different categories for the same stock depending on where you're coming from. Now, why should you classify the stock in your portfolio and give them a role? You give them a role to understand what's going to happen if there's a problem on the market. So if you have a vast majority of core holdings, well, those, you don't care, right? You have them in your portfolio. You would be comfortable to put them in a box for 10 years, not look at it, and you would still be fine. That's the classic Warren Buffett buy and hold forever type of company. Of course, you're going to continue to monitor your stocks, but the core holdings are really the company that you have a super high level of conviction in. They have an amazing business model that fits within your investment criteria, and it has all the great financial metrics you're looking for when you analyze a company. So that business tick all the boxes. It becomes a core holding for you. Not for everybody else, but for you. An educated guess would be a pretty solid pick, which has a few down metrics. So someone entering into a position into like Nike or Starbucks right now because they're having like some problems could say, oh, I'm entering this as an educated guess because I like the overall business model. It has like a lot of like great things in their investment thesis, but let's be honest, the current financial metrics are not that great. So it is definitely a guess in a sense where there is a possibility that even though they're a cyclical company in consumer discretionary, and right now we know that consumers' budget are getting short, well, we believe that the company will turn around, the economy will get better eventually, as it always does, and then you're going to make money. So that could be seen as the educated guess. So during a period of turmoil, when there's a lot of volatility, well, what you want in your portfolio is a lot of core holdings and not so much of educated guesses or falling knives. In fact, if you're about to retire, probably that you should not even have falling knives and speculative plays in your portfolio, unless you have a large portfolio and you can afford to lose some money on it. So that could be cool too. In terms of like what would be the percentage in each? Well, I like personally to have more than 60% of my portfolio in core holdings. I just love to have a very high level of confidence in the company I have. Then I reserve about 30% into educated guesses. I don't want to go too much on that, but those are exciting. They're fun. And that makes, let's be honest, that makes a lot of like great stories as well. So that's another reason why you could have some educated guesses. The thing, like the percentage between the core holding and the educated guesses may vary, but the percentage of speculative plays or falling knives would always be in my portfolio, never over 10%. Mostly because I want my portfolio to be focused on dividend growth stocks. And I don't want to have like kind of like a melting pot of all kinds of companies in my portfolio that do not align with a clear strategy. I want to make sure that I know where I'm going, and that's why 90% of my companies minimum must be dividend growers. Then some speculative plays here and there because it's fun and because it reminds me of like my younger age where I was almost like kind of like a day trader. Kind of find it very interesting to do that, but I limit myself to like a maximum of like 5 ideas. Most of the time I have like 2 or 3 and maximum of 10%. So usually 2 to 3% per idea, maximum 10, maximum 10% of my portfolio, maximum 5 ideas, which as I said, most of the time will be stuck to 2 or 3 ideas. Now, if you want to know more about how you can build this kind of great portfolio that you have a high level of conviction, I wrote a guide called Dividend Income for Life. The Dividend Income for Life guide is a kind of like a portfolio guide explaining my strategy, explaining my mindset, and explaining you how you can find those companies that will pay you a dividend for life. So you can download it for free by entering your email address at moosemarkets.com/income. So that's moosemarkets.com/income. And once you key in your email address, you're going to be on my newsletter, of course, and I'm going to send you the Dividend Income for Life guide. All right, Moose, that's enough for today. We're going to talk again tomorrow. And until the next time, don't forget to stay invested. Hey, welcome to the disclaimer. If you're listening to The Moose on the Loose, you cannot really expect me to give you buy or sell recommendation or financial advice, right? You're here for fun, you're here for information and some entertainment. But I am not your financial advisor, I am not your broker, so therefore I'm not liable if you're losing money after listening to the podcast. If you're looking for some advice, go see a professional. If not, you can enjoy the show and do your due diligence after it.